Welcome to another edition of Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. This week we continue our monitoring of the war between Israel and Hamas and the aftermath. Last week, Israel prepared to launch a ground offensive in the Gaza Strip and warned civilians to evacuate. We'll have more in a report coming up in a few minutes. Plus, a couple of months ago, President Bola Tinubu recalled all of the country's serving ambassadors. Not for anything wrong that they'd done, but as a normal procedure when a new president takes over. I had a chat with the man regarded as the youngest Nigerian ambassador posted to a foreign mission, Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, about some of his accomplishments while in Burundi. That's Diplomatic Channel in a wrap. Let's make a quick check on other discussions in diplomatic circles, and we'll be right back.
The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission has assured a full investigation into the purported killing of a Nigerian student by a group of Chinese nationals in the Republic of the Philippines as soon as investigations are concluded on the matter. The promise is in response to a video posted online by a social media user who made the claim. The Commission called for the supposed eyewitness to come forward with the evidence. A statement by the Commission says, though the matter had not been officially reported to the Nigerian embassy in the Philippines, the eyewitness has been encouraged to reach out to the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission using its official email address, admin@nidcom.gov.ng. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has welcomed his Greek counterpart, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, as fighting between Israel and Hamas continues. Mitsotakis says Greece supported Israel's right to defend itself, but added that whatever happens shouldn't be at too much of a humanitarian cost.
I appreciate the solidarity of you, your government, the people of Greece at this darkest hour. It's a battle against civilization. It's civilization against barbarism. We're in the size of civilization, and we have to unite all together against Hamas, which is ISIS.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Prime Minister. Dear Bibi, I come here not just as an ally, but as a true friend. What happened was truly horrible, and Greece from the very first moment defended and supported the right of Israel to defend itself in line with international law, and we drew a very clear distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people, and we will continue to be able to support you and to hope that whatever happens without too much of a humanitarian cost. But you can count on our support, on our help.
Thank you, friend. Thank you.
U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham has accused Iran of involvement in the October 7 Hamas onslaught that triggered a Gaza counteroffensive by Israel and warned that any escalation of the war would exact a cost for Tehran. Mr. Graham, a Republican, was speaking alongside a bipartisan group of senators who offer support to Israel in their addresses.
The idea that this happened without Iranian involvement is laughable. 93% of the budget over decades, the training, the equipment, all coming from the Ayatollah. I come here to let Israel know that America will be with you. I come here to let the Arab world know, let's make peace if we can. Destroying Hamas is non-negotiable. How we do it, let's talk. So we're here today to give Israel what they need to do the job of destroying the modern-day version of Nazis, Hamas. We're here today to tell Iran we're watching you. If this war grows, it's coming to your backyard. There won't be two fronts, there'll be three. I do not hate Palestinians. I hate Hamas. I know the difference. The goal going forward is to take from this horror and try to make this a better world.
The crimes that were committed, the barbaric actions that were committed against Israel and the victims. But these were crimes against humanity. We are all involved in this. It's in the United States' interest. It's in the interest of the civility of our planet for us to stand united against Hamas, and Hamas never again being able to do this type of harm to anyone.
Today, all of us met with a group of families of hostages, and I cannot stop thinking about a little 3-year-old girl named Abigail, who has been taken hostage by Hamas. This is her picture. Her mother was murdered, and her father was murdered as he was trying to rush little Abigail away. What kind of people commit such atrocities? This is not a close call. This is a clear case. Hamas is a terrorist group, and we must do all that we can to support Israel in its quest to eliminate Hamas.
Welcome back. Israel's defense forces have continued their attacks on the Gaza Strip despite international calls for a ceasefire because of civilians. Here's what has happened so far.
Aid trucks have begun making their way into Gaza as Israeli airstrikes continue in the north, hitting the town of Jenin. The trucks are coming in through the Rafah crossing from Egypt. About 20 trucks entered into Gaza Strip carrying medicine and food supplies. More than 200 trucks carrying roughly 3,000 tons of aid had been positioned near the crossing for days, ready to head into Gaza. The United Nations Emergency Relief Coordinator welcomes the delivery, saying it followed days of deep and intense negotiations with all relevant sides to make sure that aid operation in Gaza resumes as quickly as possible and with the right conditions. The Palestinian Red Crescent Day says about 15 aid trucks carrying food and water as well as medicine arrived in Gaza on Sunday evening. The information posted on just after midnight local time on Monday on the X platform was accompanied with images showing 8 trucks purportedly arriving via the Rafah crossing on Gaza's border with Egypt. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell has joined calls for a pause in the conflict between Israel and Hamas to let more aid supplies into the Gaza.
The first day, 20 trucks were allowed to come in, 20. Yesterday were about 20 more. But in normal time, without war, 100 trucks enter into Gaza every day. So it's clear that 20 is not enough. We will discuss also about the call for the United Nations about an humanitarian pause, which is also needed, even for giving back the hostages. The attacks of missiles, rockets from Hamas, from Gaza has to stop. The hostages, the people being kidnapped, has to be released, obviously. It is part of any step towards escalation. And we have to start thinking of how to revive the political process. But the priority at that moment is to make humanitarian support going into Gaza. And we have to be very much careful in order to show the same concerns for every civilian killed. We have to show the same concern. We show our strong support to Israel because they have been supporting one of the biggest attacks against the Jewish people. And this has to be very much condemned, and we do it. But we have also to take into consideration the Palestinians being innocent Palestinians being killed. They are also victims of Hamas. So we have to show exactly the same concern for every civilian being killed.
In the meantime, the health ministry in Gaza says 436 people were killed in a day. causing the total death toll to surpass 5,000. This includes more than 2,000 children, nearly 1,200 women, and 217 elderly people. More than 15,273 people have been injured. Israel, on the other hand, says 800 wanted Palestinians in the West Bank, including over 500 affiliated with Hamas since the attack on Israel on October the 7th, have been arrested. The Israeli Defense Forces say 64 people were detained overnight Sunday to Monday, including 35 Hamas members. Back in Israel, the University of Tel Aviv on Monday paid tribute to victims of the October 7th attacks by Hamas. Pictures of people who died, were abducted, or are missing after the attacks filled the 1,300 seats of the main campus auditorium, a space normally used to host graduations and events.
What you're seeing here is I would say, a really chilling installation that was put together by our student union. This is the main student organization here at Tel Aviv University. They decided to take the space of our main auditorium on campus, which usually serves us for graduations, orientations, and other events on campus, and to use the seats of this auditorium to place pictures of those who were murdered, abducted, or are missing from October 7th.
The Israeli military says its ground forces mounted raids into the Gaza Strip overnight and said their airstrikes were focusing on sites where Palestinian militants were assembling to attack any wider Israeli invasion. Hamas said on Sunday its fighters had engaged what it described as an armored force infiltrating a southern area of Gaza and had destroyed some Israeli military equipment. There was no Israeli comment on such losses. Israeli Chief Military Spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said 222 people had now been confirmed as taken hostage during the October 7 onslaught by Hamas. Meanwhile, the Israeli town of Sderot, usually a bustling community of about 24,000 residents, resembled a ghost town on Monday after residents evacuated under a government order. The town is one of the closest in proximity to the border with Gaza. Sderot has been the target of numerous rocket attacks from Gaza and was also a target of an attack by Palestinians on October the 7th.
About 3 years ago, I interviewed Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba when he was just made Nigerian ambassador to Burundi. Ambassador Onyeagba had high hopes for his tenure and succeeded in making Burundi more marketable to Nigerians. From bilateral visits of the Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye to Nigeria, to the Nigerian First Lady's visit to Burundi, to inaugurating the Nigeria-Burundi Business Council, to the licensing of the first Nigerian-owned private university in Burundi, and many more. He ends his time in the country as ambassador this month. I checked in on him for the updates. Joining me now is Nigeria's ambassador to Burundi, Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba. He joins me now from the capital, Bujumbura. Ambassador Onyeagba, thank you for joining me on Diplomatic Channel.
Thank you so very much, Amarachi. It's my pleasure once again.
And it is, well, we'll be counting down now to the number of weeks that you have left in office. October 31st is the deadline. So let's just review, how far you have come as ambassador, your first ambassadorial appointment. We've come to the end of your tenure as ambassador to Burundi. Do you have mixed feelings about your time being ended so abruptly by President Bola Tinubu?
Oh, thank you very much, Amarachi. From the non-career perspective, quite a lot of us are politicians and some are technocrats. So one of the things you must understand is that appointive position is not the same as elective. So you know that once there's a change in government, anything can happen. So it's actually more of gratitude to Mr. President for giving us the opportunity to represent the country at the highest level of representation. So we are grateful. I'm personally grateful to both the former president and the current president for the opportunity to represent the nation at this level. So it's actually something that we have been expecting to happen.
You expected it to happen because there was a change in leadership, in the country from President Muhammadu Buhari to President Tinubu. But I see a lot of achievements under your leadership of the Nigerian mission in Burundi. And I know this was done under President Muhammadu Buhari. Your embassy actually earned an award from the Burundian government. How does that make you feel?
Oh, thank you very much. First is something that we owe a lot of thanks to the Almighty God for this opportunity. And we came here about 2.5 years ago, and we've put in a lot of work, and it's showing under a lot of sections. Under the bilateral agreements, we've established the Nigerian-Burundi Joint Commission. We've signed 2 important bilateral agreements, that on political consultation and that on education cooperation. We've also moved into economic relations. We've done a lot of work under economic relations. We've done a lot of work under the consular section. We've done a lot of work in sports development. We've done a lot of work in areas of education relations. So it is not something that came to us as a surprise that what we've done is being recognized by the host government. For example, part of our legacy in the last 2.5 years is that today we have a Nigerian-owned university, the first private university to offer medicine, pharmacy, and some of the science courses here in Burundi. And it is something that I believe that the government of Burundi appreciates a lot. On the other hand, in the form of trade, we have a Nigerian company that is agro-processing based, that has actually signed to supply Burundi government and some cooperatives here about 1 million palm seedlings. They are starting with the first tranche of about 105,000 in the next 1 week or in the next 1 month or thereabouts. We actually have Nigerian agro-based company that is here in Burundi offering capacity building and helping them set up a hatchery for poultry businesses and all of that. So we actually have Nigerian real estate companies coming here and looking at ways and means of helping the country in the real estate sector. In fact, the largest real estate developer here attended the Africa International Housing Show in Abuja that took place about 2 months ago or thereabout. So the cooperation between Nigeria and Burundi has been very, very good in the last 2.5 years that we've been here.
Yeah, and I suppose these are also achievements under the Nigeria-Burundi Joint Commission, which is doing so well at the moment. So you'll explain a bit more about that. But also you achieved a visa on arrival travel between both countries. Do you have an estimate the number of Nigerians who've taken advantage of this?
Oh, yes, I can. Over 500 Nigerians actually have traveled have come from Nigeria to Burundi. And, don't forget that about less than a year ago, about 10 months ago, we held the maiden edition of the Nigeria-Burundi Business Summit. And quite a lot of people appreciated what we are doing. It was basically to set up a platform where the private sector participants in both countries can find expression and also begin to find ways and means of working together. We had quite a lot of people that come from Nigeria, Nigerian companies. In fact, it was an outcome of that joint commission that made a Nigerian company sign an MOU with a Burundian company to supply them urea products. That's in the area of fertilizer. So that's we have people participate from real estate to education to tourism. So that actually increased food movement from Nigeria into Burundi, and the other way around as well. Remember, within this period, Burundi president has visited Nigeria twice. The wife of the Burundi president, the first lady of Burundi, has been to Nigeria 4 times within the past 2.5 years. The former Nigerian first lady has been to Burundi once, and the former minister of foreign affairs states was also here in Burundi. And we've got senators that have moved from Nigeria to Burundi quite a lot on conferences and all that. Staff of Nigeria. Central Bank, EFCC, ICPC come here on trainings of all sorts. And most importantly, we've also had study courses the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies have had 2 groups come here, and the National Defense College have also had a group visit here in the last 2.5 years. So it's been quite a lot of movement. And what we did was that we explained to the Burundian government that Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa, and Nigerians travel a lot, and it's important that Nigerians can be granted visa on arrival. And even to take that to the next notch, we also have another bilateral agreement that is ready for signing. I'm sure what we've done, the next ambassador that is coming here will actually pick it up from there. We've actually sorted out the issues. We want a situation where diplomatic and official passport holders can visit both countries without visa at all, like we have with some other countries like South Africa, China, Turkey, and a whole lot of other countries. So this agreement is ready, and I'm sure at the next edition of the Joint Commission, that agreement will be executed. So it's quite, we've done a lot of work in Burundi, and we're appreciative of Mr. President for this opportunity.
If there's one thing I know, about your tenure as Nigerian ambassador to Burundi is how you have itemized the achievements of the mission in Burundi, the things that have been achieved between both countries, what the Nigerian mission there has done, and so on, which makes it easier to follow, your tenureship. But I'm sure that there were challenges that you encountered while you were on the ground there and as you preparing to leave.
Yes, there will always be challenges. In fact, leadership, governance, politics, life in itself is about challenge. It's your responsibility as the head or as the leader to, even families have challenges as well. There are quite a lot of challenges coming here. First is that this is not a very popular country with respect to Nigerian relations over the years. We've opened this embassy since 2007, but it was a responsibility to do everything possible to improve on that relations, on the political front, on the economic front, on the education front, on the sporting front, on every front we find, cultural and so on and so forth, fashion-wise and all of that. So we have done a lot of work. There are also issues relating to funding and all of that, because sometimes most missions are challenged with funding. These are not new. It's something that has always been there. But again, as managers of resources, as managers of human capital, it's our responsibility to find a way to navigate the challenges and produce the best possible results for the country. And I believe that within this period of time, we've done a lot of work. I came in here without any Nigerian in prison. In the last 2.5 years, some have been arrested, but we've also tried as much as possible to get them out of that prison as well. These challenges will always be there, but what is important for me as the head of the mission is to do everything possible. We've had quite a lot of support from headquarters. We've had a lot of support from agencies of government that are all involved in this business of diplomacy, and everybody's pulling their weight. For example, we exhausted our visa stickers on, and of course, we had to quickly do what we need to do to get immigrations to support us so that we'll continue to have Burundians that are visiting Nigeria. So it is something I believe that we've put up a good show. And whatever happens from now henceforth, I believe that the legacy is there. We've laid a very good foundation for the next person that is coming to take over to build on what we've achieved so far.
And I know that Nigerians are very invested, Nigerians around the world were very invested in the elections that took place this year. So what was the experience like in Burundi?
Oh, no, it's that, Nigerian election is always very widely publicized within the continent. And of course, the Nigerians that are here closely followed the elections. Towards the election, I was home because I'm a politician and I have to do what I have to do to support my party win the election, the All Progressives Congress, and also to promote our candidate. Yes, they followed this election, a lot of social media information and misinformation as the case may be. But what we did, because we have a very good, consular desk here, before the elections, Nigerian community here have got a functional association and they meet every now and then. So I also try to attend their meetings to be able to clear some of the misconceptions regarding the elections. And then even after the elections, I've attended their meetings, I've explained to them how the elections went. And of course, it was quite understood. You know that if you have any leaning towards any particular candidate, it's always difficult to to try to convince you that things shouldn't have gone the other way. But of course, facts are facts.
Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, we have followed you from the beginning of your tenure as Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, and now we're closing off with another interview. We appreciate all the work you've done in Burundi and wish you all of the best as you move on to your next assignment.
Thank you very much.
This is where we end the program this week. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, you can watch this edition as well as others you may have missed on youtube.com/channelsweb. Just look for Diplomatic Channel in the playlist. I'm still available on all of my social media handles. I'm Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.